Hey guys, Miss Austin here again. Okay, now we are on page 41 of your journal. We're going to revisit one-step equations, fractions, and then we're going to get into two-step equations. Okay, so remember one-step equations, we're trying to move everything away from our variable. So the opposite of plus 12 is minus 12 from each side. So we have m equals -2. For number 2, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to add 9 to each side. That cancels out. -2 plus 9 is 7. All right, number 3, this says -7 times a number equals -91. The opposite of multiplying is to divide each side by -7. Don't forget your negative signs. They still hang on there. So I've got y equals, when I in the calculator put -91 divided by -7, I get +13. This says some number divided by 9 is -4. So the opposite of dividing by 9 is to multiply each side by 9. So I've got a equals -4 times 9 is -36. Okay, we're moving on to fractions. Remember, to get rid of a fraction, you can multiply by the reciprocal. Just means flip it upside down. So here, instead, I'm going to multiply each side by its reciprocal. This is 3/2. 10 times 3/2. You can do alpha y equals in the calculator. So I get x equals 15. Instead of multiplying by 4/9, I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal, 9/4. On each side, 9/4. So I get w equals, in your calculator, you're going to do -8 times 9/4. And I get w equals -18. Remember, if you're not sure about your answer, go back, substitute what you're getting for your variable. You would do 4/9 times -18. Make sure you get -8. If you don't, you did something wrong. You have to go back and check. So on a multiple choice test, if you're unsure about your steps, at the very worst, you could take your answer choices and substitute that in for x and see which one gives you this answer. Okay, I have -6/5. The reciprocal is -5/6. I multiply each side by that. So I've got k equals, if you do 12 times -5/6, you would get -10. Here I have -1/2. M equals -9. The reciprocal is -2/1, which is -2. So m equals +18. Remember, if you're stuck and you don't get this, ask a friend or ask your teacher for help. Okay, two-step equations, it's the same process, it's just that you have more than one step. The first thing you want to do is add or subtract. You're trying to get your variable alone, but you're trying to move all your constants. The constant is the non-variable. It doesn't have a variable letter next to it. So here, I like to separate it at the equal sign. I need to get all my constants to one side. So this 8 is hanging out with my variable. So the opposite to get rid of it is to subtract it from each side. That's canceled out. So I bring this down. 6x equals 50 minus 8, which is 42. And now I'm down to one step. I'm going to divide by 6 on each side. I get x equals 7. Number 10, I need my variable alone. I'm going to move this -5 over by doing the opposite. I'm going to add 5 to each side. That cancels out. 2 times the number equals 16. The opposite is to divide each side by 2. And I get that n equals 8. Remember, during the videos, you can always pause it or replay it. Okay, now I've got my variable on the right, so I need to move this constant by doing the opposite. I'm going to subtract it from each side. That's gone. 13 minus 9 is 4. I bring this down. Don't forget your negative on your coefficient. Now I'm going to divide each side by -4. And I get -1 equals k. Number 12, I have this +7 I need to move over, so I'm going to do the opposite and subtract it to get rid of it. I bring this down, -3y. 34 minus 7, 27. I need to divide each side by my coefficient, -3. Y equals -9. Okay, now we're on the next page in your journal, page 42. Okay, so this time we need to look at what we need to do first. We're going to add or subtract. We have this -7 or -7, so the opposite is to add it to each side. That cancels out. I've got x divided by 2 equals 16. Well, the opposite of dividing by 2 is to multiply by 2. And I have x equals 32. Number 14, draw a line where your equal sign is. I need to move this 8 over by subtracting it from each side. 11 minus 8 is 3. I bring down everything that's left over here. C divided by -5. Sorry, I had a text I had to respond to. C divided by -5, the opposite is to multiply each side by -5. -5 times 3 is -15. All right, number 15, I'm going to separate my equation. I need to get this constant over by subtracting it. I've got 3/5 x equals 6. And then I have a fraction here, so I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal. So I'm going to flip it, 5/3, multiply that to each side. X equals, if you do 6 times 5/3, you get x equals 10. I'm going to subtract 1 from each side. That's gone. I've got -1/3 m equals -8. I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal. Don't lose that negative sign. So that would become -3/1, which is -3. I get m equals +24. Okay, 17 and 18, same process again. Draw a line. I need to add this 10 to move it. That's gone. Bring down everything that's left. 7/4 p. -38 plus 10 is -28. Since it's a fraction, I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal. Flip it. Multiply each side by that. P equals, if you put that in the calculator,